Hey all, my name is Gator. I've recently taken part in the Gdevelop 3D game jam, the demo scene, celebrating the release of their recent 3D editor. Um, I've gotten quite a few questions about how I made my submission. Um, and so I'm going to take this short time to explain some of the details on it. It's going to be largely unscripted. So apologies in advance. I'm not great at planning these things out. Um, so this is the demo scene here. We have this it's inspired by Persona. You take some different actions, open up different menus. Um, so there are a couple of different parts to this. The first part is the outline around the player that you can see. Uh, just mute the music on this real quick. So as you can see, the player has an outline. It does. I've done away with any of the lighting in these scenes, so all of the textures are just emissive, or they take the lighting from the texture. Um, so the outline is actually a copy of the player model with a pink emissive texture. I believe the exact color is like hyper pop pink or something. I just picked a random one. I didn't want to do just regular red. Um, so as you can see, it is exactly the same as the regular player object, but it is on this mask layer. And so the layer system is basically how all of this works. So we have the background color, which you don't ever see. Then we have the map layer, which holds this environment. Then we have a mask layer, which holds this style object, which is the outline. And then we have a 2D layer, a base layer, which holds the main object and the enemy object. Then we have a 2D layer on top of that, and I'll explain what the difference between this top 2D layer and the bottom 2D layer in a second. And then we have the inventory layer, and then we have this wipe layer, which is how it's just this big pink square, and so the way the wipe works is when the scene starts, it just tweens the rotation like that. Just a nice little transition. Keep that hidden, and we enable it right at scene start. So, looking at this, we can see we have these text objects, and the text objects are just regular sprites, and they are on this bottom 2D layer. And when the selection is angle based, it's angle between the anchor point. The anchor point is set on the player, and it measures the angle between the cursor and the anchor point, and that is how it knows what you're selecting. Um, so when the selection is right, these sprite objects here, they are this realist text item. They have a couple of different variables here. They they have an ID, so they know which inventory or they know which option they are representing. Then they have an option for spawn X and spawn Y. Um, so as you can see, I have them actually on the scene here. So when the scene starts, they record what position they are in, and then they do a tween. I think it's like swing to from, and then they go to the anchor point. They move to the anchor point. And as you can also see, I have two objects in the same spot in that same space there. And they're both this realist text objects, but they have a top or sub boolean. So you can see this one is this one's going to be on top. And this one's going to be beneath it. So if it is on top, it has this adjustment here. By default, it's 0.5 brightness. If it is a top object, it gets set to 3 brightness instead. And so as you can see in this, um, it is being masked partially. So the wobbly pink bar is actually a 2D a shape drawer. And the way this works is each of these menu items has a set of coordinates in the edit point section. And so if we go down to, they start out at the spawn animation, which if we preview, it's a bounce, and that plays during the tween to its initial anchor point. And when it gets to that initial anchor point, it adds 1 to the animation, so it moves from their spawn animation to their select animation. Now, this select animation, it stays at this 0 position until it is selected, and then it moves to this final position. So it moves up. It visually moves up. And when it's not selected, it has its frame set to 0 and it pauses the animation. And when it is in this select animation, it has this coordinate points, and so the shape drawer goes to each of those coordinate points with their advanced, what is it? Director, maybe. Yeah, here it is. It is this. Maybe a little bit more complex than it needs to be. But basically it's just, you know, randomly jittering around those points using lerp. I found out about lerps just a little bit ago. They're crazy, crazy, crazy good. And then it just does this advanced path drawing. And then that is the same shade as this style objects, this outline. And so it just blends in, and see it's yeah. Then this is how it's actually deciding where on screen to move the button objects to. This is my custom positioner extension. It's a lot of matrix math. Basically, it gets the angle of the camera, and then it translates that using matrix multiplication, except Gdevelop doesn't have matrix multiplication, so I needed to write it out manually in a big long list. So that was kind of fun. Then it applies, and it gets the final XYZ coordinates, and then it applies. So basically, it is normalizing the location of that X, Y, and Z point to be at the camera, or so it is like normally, right? When you move an object to a position, its coordinates are in reference to a 0, 0, 0 origin. That is the origin of the scene. It's 0, 0, 0. All of this math basically converts that object's origin, its reference point, to the camera object. And then it applies the FOV scales, and for whatever reason, the horizontal FOV is different than the vertical FOV, and you can't actually access the horizontal FOV or something. But I found just multiplying it by 1.3, it looks good enough. It looks good enough, and then and we just apply the change the position. So that is happening on this 2D layer. It tweens to its position, and then that position is set to main object, which is the main character object. And that's how that works. Just It's a lot more simple than I'm trying to explain it as, because I'm not very good at explaining things. It's not as difficult. Oh, and a little tangent. Uh, there are two objects, right? There's the bottom object and the top object. The top object is slightly brighter than the back object, as you can see here, and it is masked by that sprite object. So when it is selected like that, it is slightly highlighted. And then there is this part here. This is the other part. This is a similar situation. So the way that works, the enemy selection, right? We have we have this outer layer fill object, which is this pink circle. Then we have this inner layer pink object, which is this yellow circle. Then we have a bar object, which is the red and the heart object there. Then we have the outer circle. We have the inner circle. And in the scene, the inner circle is actually scaled by 0.5, and they are put on top of each other. And these circles have a very similar situation where they have a bunch of points mapped out, and the let's see where we would put that. Here it is. So we repeat it. And we have this action here. We repeat it a number of times equal to the number of coordinate points we have on that object, and we give it a little random floating range. Just make it wiggle a little bit, make it look nice. Um, Other than that, that's pretty much it. What else? We have this attack animation. That smear frame is, if we look at you can kind of tell, where is it? Just looking at this base main object here, you can see there's this, it is like an actual thing that I keyframed with the rest of the animation. Yeah, so you can just kill this guy. He dies. It doesn't actually delete the object when the enemy dies. It plays the death animation, which scales it to 0. Then it sets its z-axis to be like 300 or something, and then it bounces down to the ground. It's pretty much everything. Sorry, it was a little bit rambly. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know, and I'll see about answering them.